Bonjour et bienvenue chez French Sounds. Welcome to French Sounds. Today we're going to work on the intonation of questions in standard French. Now, intonation means the pitch or tone of the speech. In French, each syllable has generally one tone. You can think of it as a musical note. And when we talk about syllables, of course, one syllable equals one vowel sound. So each vowel sound will have a specific tone or pitch. Now, if you think about musicians playing a piece of music, each musician will play that piece of music, will interpret that piece of music somewhat differently. The same is true with speakers of a language. Their tonality will vary significantly. However, there are some basic rules for different types of sentences, and here we're going to discuss those relating to various interrogatives. Now let's talk about questions. Interrogative sentences are generally of two main types. One is a question that will elicit a yes or no answer, and the other one is a question asking for a specific piece of information, such as when, what, how, etc. We're going to take a declarative sentence, and the declarative sentence we're going to use today is Tu as remercié les héros. So in this sentence you have two rhythmic groups. Tu as remercié les héros. And of course, as a declarative, the tone goes down at the end. You have a type of wave pattern. Tu as remercié les héros. So let's start with yes-no type questions. We're going to take our declarative sentence and we're going to change the intonation pattern. In the declarative sentence, we had a sort of wave type pattern, and at the end, the tone went down. In the question, the intonation pattern is going to move up more sharply at the beginning, especially, so that we know that the listener knows that you're going to be asking a question. Tu as remercié? And then, for the second rhythmic group, the last syllable will move up instead of down. Tu as remercié les héros? And notice that there's a bigger jump between héros than there is between the other syllables within the rhythmic group. Okay, one more time. Tu as remercié les héros? Now, it doesn't have to be that sharp, but it could be even, more attenuated. You could have Tu as remercié les héros, as long as you go up at the end. That's part of the variation I was talking to you about. Let's move on to a different type of yes-no question, this time with inversion of the verb and the subject pronoun. In this case, since your listener knows that you're going to be asking a question because you have the inversion going on at the beginning, you don't have to raise your tone as quickly. But at the end, yes, you have to make that sharp jump up. As-tu remercié les héros? Again. As-tu remercié les héros? And of course, the third way to ask a yes-no question is to put est-ce in front of the declarative sentence. Now here, because est-ce is an interrogative marker, it generally has a higher pitch at the beginning. And in this case, the higher pitch will be on the est. Est-ce que? Est-ce que? And then you drop down a little bit, but then you're going to move up at the end of that first rhythmic group, and the second rhythmic group will be similar to the other forms. Est-ce que tu as remercié les héros? Again. Est-ce que tu as remercié les héros? And again, a variation of that would be flatter. You would have, Est-ce que tu as remercié les héros? Let's move on now to content questions. And the first comment I have to make here is that there are some content questions that are heard in conversational usage where the question word is simply placed at the beginning and then the regular pattern of the declarative sentence follows. But I'm not going to be talking about those here because they're not considered standard. They're more of a familiar style level. So let's do the ones that are standard, and that would be using the content word with either inversion or with est-ce que following. So the first question word we're going to use is quand, and we'll use it with inversion. And because it's a question word, it will have a higher pitch at the beginning than a normal sentence. So you would have quand as-tu, quand as-tu, quand as-tu remercié les héros? Quand as-tu remercié les héros? Now, let's try a question word that has two syllables, such as comment. In this case, the second syllable, or the last syllable of that content word, will be the one with the higher pitch. Comment? Comment as-tu remercié les héros? Again. Comment as-tu remercié les héros? And what if you have a question word preceded by a preposition? Well, it's going to be the question word that will take the higher pitch. Chez qui as-tu remercié les héros? Chez qui as-tu remercié les héros? And again, you can have variations that are not as pronounced, such as Chez qui as-tu remercié les héros? Now, let's move on to interrogative content words, followed by est-ce que. Now, est-ce que is an interrogative marker, but it's preceded by that question word, that content word. In this case, the interrogative content word will have the higher pitch. So, for example, où est-ce que, and the est-ce que goes down. Où est-ce que tu as remercié les héros? Again. Où est-ce que tu as remercié les héros? As a variation, it doesn't have to be so pronounced, so high. You can have a flatter type of intonation, such as Où est-ce que tu as remercié les héros? Now, let's try a two-syllable question word with est-ce que. Okay. Pourquoi? Again, it's the second syllable that takes the higher pitch. Pourquoi est-ce que? Pourquoi est-ce que tu as remercié les héros? Again. Pourquoi est-ce que tu as remercié les héros? And with a preposition plus interrogative adjective plus noun, The interrogative adjective has the higher pitch. À quelle heure? À quelle heure? À quelle heure est-ce que tu as remercié les héros? Again. À quelle heure est-ce que tu as remercié les héros? Or variation such as à quelle heure est-ce que tu as remercié les héros? Just the flatter. And so our final type of question for today is one where you have alternatives at the end, where you have to choose one or the other. We're going to use a sentence similar to the one we've been working on, and we're going to have a choice, either one thing or the other thing. So at the end, the one thing goes up, the first thing goes up in intonation, the second one goes down. Okay, let's try it. Les as-tu remerciés à la télé ou en personne? Les as-tu remerciés à la télé ou en personne? Très bien. Alors, continuez votre bon travail et à la prochaine. Merci.